Greetings, Divines. So I noticed that there is a social media influencer that has been going to many different countries in Africa. I believe, what is his name? I show speed, something like that. I'm just getting to know him online, and he's going all over Africa, and he's connecting to the culture. I ran across a video of him and his father was saying, "Oh, we're not African, my ancestors not African," or something like that. Like, he said something like they're from Jamaica or whatever. And his son Speed was trying to tell him, like, "Dad, our ancestors are African," you know. So there's this thing where I've seen, even I said on a clip, I said something about African Americans, and I had people saying, like, oh, they couldn't relate in some kind of way. They're like, you lost me at African in some kind of way. So I don't know. I've shifted a little bit to say people who can resonate with having African ancestry. The people that I'm talking about when I'm talking about the African diaspora. For me personally, I can relate to having African ancestry. I have indigenous Native American ancestry. I also have some white European ancestry as well. Many of us do, you know, but to deny one part of me I would never do that. So I don't know about anybody else, but for me, I embrace it all. And I noticed that I'm calling the African diaspora. I know many Black Americans now are embracing African culture, which is a really good thing. I also saw that there was like 100 it might have been more than that. A large group of AKAs that went to Ghana, and I think like 100 out of that group traced their DNA, their ancestry, and a large number of them connected back to the Ghana area. So all these things are great, y'all. Let's keep doing it, keep connecting, but I encourage people to be intentional about it. You know, don't be a bandwagon jumper. Don't just do stuff because you see other people doing it. Do these things and be intentional. So I show Speed, I brought up his father, because another clip I saw was the father was crying later when he saw his son doing all these great things in Africa and being embraced. And so, well, maybe he wasn't shedding tears, but he was emotional, and he was emotional about his son being embraced in Africa. So these things are wonderful, but I think that, to me, that triggered something in me to think that what I feel that we're missing is to actually be on the ground there. It's one thing to say something, and it's another thing to go and experience it for yourself. Because me personally, I always knew. I was a priestess in a Congo African spiritual tradition long before I knew what my ancestral DNA said. So I always knew I had Congo ancestral spirits walking with me. When I went to the Congo for the first time, and even every time that I go, like, I fell in love. I knew that my ancestors were from there. It wasn't, as I said, I was a priestess beforehand, and I knew, but being in that space, it was all spiritual. I knew that these were my people. You know, I knew I had a link there. I felt at home. I felt connected. I felt connected to the language, the food, everything. Like, I feel good. When I go to the Congo, I love it. The people treat me beautifully, honor me. I honor them. It's wonderful. So it was a piece of me I found that I could just reconnect to and replace back inside, that I needed to put back inside of myself. And I believe that is what happened with this influencer. I don't know where his ancestry may connect back to, but he went to so many countries. He was able to represent Black people around the world who resonate with having African ancestry and really show the beauty of Africa. So it's usually, for me, it's one-sided. Like sometimes what many of us grew up seeing, it was a lot of destitute and poverty and the lower ends of the people in Africa, what lifestyle was like, you know. And now we're seeing the more higher end of things, the beauty, the culture, the vibrancy, all these things, music, the people being prosperous and having businesses. So now we're on the other end. I like to explain the fact that there is both sides. Even whether I'm going to Nigeria, the only places in Africa I've been so far is Nigeria and Congo. I've stopped in Morocco, but I've only been in those two countries. And just going to those countries, I see both sides. So I don't want people who have not been there to think that, oh, when I go to Africa, my experience is going to be like what this influencer's experience was, or someone that I saw on you know, traveling on social media. It may shock you. Some of the poverty may shock you, but there's both sides. You have to take it all in. So yes, we have the same thing in other places that we may travel to in the Caribbean or wherever. You have poverty and you have prosperous. So that's that. But I do encourage people to be intentional, know what to expect, and take a deeper look. As I always say, go deeper into who you are, so that when you do go, if you go and you have African ancestry, you can match your trip with your ethnic group, so you can learn more about them and see it in person. And again, it's different from receiving a piece of paper and knowing that, okay, your ancestry does trace back to some form of Africa in some kind of way. It doesn't really resonate as much until you actually are able to be in person with this energy. So that's a wonderful thing. I'm so glad that he's doing that. I Show Speed, I'm so glad that he did what he did, because the world did need to see the brighter side, the vibrant side, and the prosperous side of Africa more and more from a young person's perspective. So yeah, I am actually hosting 2 trips this summer. I'm hosting a trip to Congo Brazzaville. It depends on what's going on in Congo for the DRC, because a lot of the fighting and the things that we see on the media is in Kinshasa. Brazzaville, I just went to Brazzaville a few months ago and it was fine. That's in the Republic of Congo. But across the river in the Democratic Republic of Congo, there are some things going on that's significant, and we wouldn't want to be a part of that. So I'll have to see how things are when we get ready to take our trip, because it's just a river ride over. But if things have not calmed down, we will just be going to Brazzaville and more than likely Point Noir, Congo, which is another amazing city. So that's in June. And then we will be going to Nigeria for the Oshun Festival this year. That's a very vibrant and beautiful festival. If you are familiar with the Orisha, we celebrate the Orisha Oshun in a big way. So those are some upcoming trips, but I am planning to travel to other countries in Africa, and I invite you all to do the same, especially if you want to connect with the culture and your ancestry, if you have ancestry that links back. So do it, and don't be afraid. Go with intention, go with love in your heart and safety, of course. But now is a great time to expand and connect and reclaim who you are, reclaim our identity as people of the African diaspora.